All right, everybody, I believe we are live on Facebook currently. Meteorologist Jacob Dickey here. Just kind of wanted to bring you guys just a little bit of some up-to-date information on the latest in terms of some cells that have popped up in our viewing area, and also talk about the heat as well, too. But first off, what we're going to do here is we're going to switch over to just going full screen with our Storm Tracker Doppler. And as you can see, things are pretty quiet across our area, except for we have 2 cells, 3 cells, give or take, that have formed in Vermilion County. And you'll see that as we zoom in on them, there's a warning on them. That goes until 1:15 for radar indicated 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch in diameter hail. The thing that's been kind of interesting about this, though, has been the threat that has come up at the bottom there, a tornado possible tag. That means that these storms are exhibiting a little bit of some rotation, and we can kind of see a little bit of that at times when we take a look at our velocity. So as we turn on our velocity, you can tell that we have 2 little areas that we're kind of looking at in terms of our velocity being a little bit more interesting, kind of just off to the east of Potomac, and then also just off to the southeast of the Danville area there. Those 2 areas of concern are kind of where there's some rotation being exhibited on the radar. And so that's why that warning does have this tornado possible tag that goes along with it. So we are just looking at these storms that also have some gusty winds with them. They potentially could be up to around 60 miles an hour. And they've also shown a lot of lightning strikes with them too, especially within the past really about hour or so. These things have exploded on the radar. And so again, this is what it looks like here on the radar. Turn the lightning back on. I'm going to zoom things out a little bit and just kind of just play things over the past 3 hours. These things, again, have just exploded. Now, for the most part, we've got that one cell that has moved off primarily into just over the border now into Indiana, but kind of over the Bismarck area, we do have that cell that's still going, and it's also going to be just off to the south and southeast of the Hoopston area. And so that one's moving a bit more off to the northeast. And so there is just explosive development with these storms because of how warm and how humid things are. In terms of what we have going off to our north, though, things remain a bit more quiet. We're still eyeing off to our north the potential there for some storms to get going, and that would be our more so the later afternoon round of storms. And so there's a lot of still variables with our forecast here in terms of what we can expect severe weather-wise, but just focusing in on what we have right now, we have essentially 2 cells that have really just exploded in Vermilion County. They did have a little bit in the way of some rotation with them, and that's why we have that tornado possible tag with them too. We've also seen, just like we had the other day, yesterday, the way in the hail size too. So we'll go take a look at our hail cores. In terms of that, those are pretty small currently, so that's some good news there. We haven't seen as much in the way of hail out of this one, but just more of that rotation that was able to be seen there, at least initially on our on these storms. They looked kind of impressive just for a little bit there, kind of going back in time a little bit by about 20 minutes or so. It was looking like there could be some solid rotation out of those 2 cells. So again, the one is basically right on the line going into Indiana currently, right by the Rileysburg area. We've got it essentially not even to Covington just yet. And then back off to the north, the Bismarck-Henning area, you've got still that rotation showing up there kind of pretty nicely, also by the Rossville area too, so an area of broad rotation that continues to be seen with these storms. Again, this is the only thing that we have going on right now in our viewing area. You'll see that everything else has been very quiet. Now, again, like I said, we might be waiting for later on today to see some storms, but that's going to be coming down from the northwest of us, and that'll be coming in from Minnesota and Wisconsin. So again, this warning will go until 1:15. These are very slow-moving storms. They're moving to the generally northeast at around only 20 to 30 miles an hour. So there will be a lot of heavy rain out of these too. There's going to be, as you can see, a lot of frequent lightning with these. So these will be slow movers. These aren't exactly the biggest cells, but they're definitely packing a little bit of a punch in the locations that they're currently at.
Just want to let you know, AWS Chicago is watching those cells in Iroquois County. They think they're going to rapidly strengthen based on what they're seeing on GOES data.
Yeah, so these little cells right here in Iroquois County, just off to the northwest from there, kind of by the Sista Park area, Buckley, Loda, Rankin, kind of in that area there. Because of how fast these cells went up in Vermilion County, NWS out of Chicago is also watching these too because they could also go up pretty quickly as well. There is a what we call mesoscale discussion, and that is for primarily most of Indiana. And I'm just going to draw it based on how I've seen it. I know the graphic exists here, but it's a little bit harder to find. But I'm just going to draw it. It's something like this, and so if not even that much into Illinois. But it does come a little bit more into our viewing area here. So we're going to kind of watch for that potential in terms of there being a bit more in the way of some storm development here by later this afternoon. Again, most of what we're looking at in terms of our storms, in terms of the potential severe threat, probably comes from the northwest of us, with Minnesota and Wisconsin. But even still, we have this pocket of cells that have really just kind of blown up here, and there could be a few more that we get in central Illinois. You'll notice, though, that that one cell that we did have that did cross over into Indiana now, so right over Covington now, that has lost the warning with it. So it has weakened just a little bit as of at least right now. A lot of times when we have these storms, these are going to be extremely volatile because of how hot and humid the atmosphere is, so they're going to essentially just blow up really fast. These are going to pop up really quickly, and then they'll most likely fade away relatively fast. So in terms of warnings, you might get one cycle of warnings out of them, but they have now trimmed that area of the warning now, and it still goes until 1:15. Still everything is the same with that one. 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch in diameter hail, but the tornado possible tag is with it. But that little cell to the north of Rankin still, as of right now, doesn't have any lightning with it, but it is getting a little bit bigger. And I'll go back to our radar here and just kind of go a couple of scans back. So, I mean, this is just a couple of scans, 1, 2. Just goes from being a little cell to being a little bit bigger. So we're watching that for that to form. And, yeah, we're just kind of watching these storms here today. With it being just so hot and humid, these storms can just go up very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. Let's see what this looks like from our camera network. So this is what it looks like in Danville. Unfortunately, our Danville camera, we cannot turn it or anything like that. I wish we could, but you've got those broken cumulus clouds. That storm is essentially going to be to the north of Danville, so that would be on the right side of the camera just there. And the other storms that we'd have that moved into Indiana would be behind it, because these storms, or this camera is looking off to our west. So there is still the potential for kind of in the far eastern edge of our viewing area for there to be storms that do pop up. But as of right now, we just have that one warning currently that does go until 1:15. Just checking a few things here and there. Just checking out a few things here. Okay. Yep. So still got some gusty winds with these. A lot of heavy rain out of these can be expected. And hail size remains actually pretty small with these ones. The supercell that formed yesterday morning over Champaign County and Vermilion County, and then also in Sangamon County, those two individual supercells yesterday, they had some pretty large hail out of them. This one does not seem to have that one, which is good. But it's got the gusty winds with there. Obviously looking at some really, really heavy rain out of it too. Nothing shows up just yet with our rainfall amounts just yet. Are you doing something, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat.
Oh, okay.
Seeing reports there. There's a couple folks saying that there is. We got Heather. She's up in Hoopston saying there's lightning and thunder, and looks wicked out, dark. Not surprised by that. These are pretty big lightning producers.
Yep, got a lot of lightning with these guys. But I mean, it's pretty much just right over the Bismarck area, Rossville, the Hoopston area. So a lot of lightning with them as I turn that on. So prolific lightning makers out of these, which makes sense. We've got just so much heat and humidity to deal with that we're able to really get these storms to fire up very, very fast. Again, our view from Danville currently, and you've got just cloudy skies, broken cumulus clouds, but you've got about 15 minutes left to go on this warning, and everything has been moving very, very slowly here. Turning the lightning back on, you'll still see that that cell that we're kind of looking at a potential kind of next in line right over the Cissna Park area. Got some good rain out of that one, but in terms of any lightning strikes, there's currently nothing on that. Don't have to have lightning to have a warning, but it usually is indicative of a strengthening or very strong storm. Then you've got a bunch of these powerful cells that are dotting I-74 and pretty much from the line, Indiana-Illinois state line to the Ladoga area, and then back off to Indianapolis. There's likely going to be more development later on there, but currently just looking at one warning here. I'm going to turn our lightning off and I'm going to loop this just to kind of show you how slowly things are progressing here. And this storm just is now just approaching the line, the Indiana line here, with the heavy rain just about to get there. The heaviest rain is going to be just off to the north of the Bismarck area. The Alvin area has probably got some very, very heavy rain currently. You're probably dealing with a lot in the way of loud thunder there and some strong winds. The Henning area too, kind of all right in this area here, just off to the east of Illinois 1 and just to the north of 119. That's where most of the heavy precipitation is currently falling there. In terms of our velocity, we still do have, trying to look like some. If anything, probably the better velocity, showing a little bit of some broad rotation, is by the Hoopston area still there on the north part of that warning. But back down to our south by the Henning, Bismarck area, there still is at least a little bit there to just kind of keep our eye on. We got Carrie saying that in Bloomington, she can actually see the top of the storms in Vermilion County. Catherine is in Bismarck. Not too bad out there. It's kind of noisy. Addison says we got to send some rain over to Sullivan. That's the thing, though, is that it has been extremely, extremely dry across our viewing area. We do need some rain. It would be great to have some of this a little bit because we'd be able to break a little bit of some of that oppressive heat out there. I know obviously the rain would probably make it even more humid, but just a little bit in the way of a break from the 90s would be nice because as of last check, it was 93 degrees in Champaign, and most of us are currently in the 90s right now. So going to be obviously a very hot and humid afternoon for us. But in terms of this warning, still just have this one warning that goes for another about 12 minutes or so, and moving very, very slowly off to the northeast in many spots of this cell, which is kind of growing in size. I'm going to turn the reflectivity back on, but you're going to see that the size of the cell is growing, but it's more than anything kind of moving. It's kind of just spreading, and so it's moving very slowly off to the northeast at around 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour. There's a little part of it that's right by the Bismarck area, that really, really dark red area that might be trying to turn more to the right. Sometimes that happens a bit, especially in the past couple of scans there. I'll go to now, and then just kind of watch that dark red area. It's trying to turn a little bit more to the right, and that's usually a sign of maybe some strengthening, but that's just the past couple scans there. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But we're right on the line going into Indiana. You've got just a lot of heavy rain in the Covington area. It's probably still very loud. You can probably hear those rumbles of thunder in Danville, even though things are probably pretty dry there. Those rain showers are now moved out of the area. And the Cissna Park cell now has some lightning strikes with it too. So National Weather Service out of Chicago has jurisdiction in Iroquois County. They're kind of wondering about these ones, and those have popped up here with some lightning strikes. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. We're really just right on the edge of what's going to be these individual cells that will pop up. Still kind of the big time threat, though, for severe weather is likely going to be coming from storms that are in Wisconsin and Minnesota. That's why there is the enhanced risk up there. But that's probably going to be later on today. That'll be more later this afternoon into the evening where that type of setup will begin to take place. The way that that's kind of looking right now would be you get your big Boeing line of storms that will come across portions of the Chicagoland area into Wisconsin, go over the lake, and then cross over into Michigan. We're kind of waiting to see with that. Maybe we get a little bit more on the southern side of that to where maybe we get something that comes on through. That's kind of why we have the slight risk. But it's also because of our pop-up storms that we have too. That's going to be impacting Indiana too. So one thing I will say though is that this has been a very difficult forecast the past couple days. And Jacob's just kind of sitting off screen here. And Jacob, you would agree with that statement, right?
Yeah, it's and I don't have a mic on, but
yeah, let me unbutton myself here. Yeah, but we can. One second. But yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
just enjoying lunch over here. Yeah, snacking down. Yeah, with these storms, like we talked last night on TV, where if there was a storm overnight, the environment was very ripe. We didn't know if we'd have a spark, and then we didn't know if we'd have a spark this afternoon.
Right.
More than likely, most spots stay dry, and that's the case out there. But there's that one spot in Vermilion County, and I guess in a way, Hoopston, Bismarck, some of those areas, Danville, getting a little rain, cool air. I think you should pull the heat index values up, Jack, because that's the big story for everyone else here. It feels like 114 right now in Decatur. It's just unbelievably humid. Those dew point values, you and I both posted this morning how we broke the scale. Last summer, we added that 75 to 80 because how high things were getting. I mean, 110 in Effingham, 109 in Champaign, still 102 in Danville. It's a very hot, muggy air mass, and there's a lot of instability, and there's a warm front that's close by, so if these storms are able to take advantage of that, then it'll be game on, and that's kind of what's happened today with the storms that have been coming on through. I was just kind of watching the storms as well, looking at velocity and checking Indy and Chicago's radar, and you can tell there's some mid-level rotation in them, and that's why they went tornado possible tag, higher up in the atmosphere, but not close to the ground. And I'm not seeing much in the way of indications on some of the products that we use behind the scenes for hail either at this point. But it's so hot, it's so muggy.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of people, say, hey, these are kind of weather big hailstorms, and yeah, that's usually what it is. But that so far hasn't come to fruition. Hey, it's only 86 in Danville right now.
And what I will say though, is that on the morning show, it's kind of interesting how we had a very big difference between the southern part of our viewing area and the northern part of our viewing area in terms of the temperatures, because the warm front actually was still going through the area this morning. So now the warm front is north of us because now we're all pretty uniform. I get it, Danville's at 86 right now because it's slightly rain cooled because of that, but the difference between 94 in Effingham and 90 in Pontiac is now not a big deal. So the warm front has now moved to the north of us, and so because of that, we're all now in the same air mass. And that warm front's going to be very critical to the forecast later on this evening in terms of probably that later round of storms as it comes on through, if it does at all. But the warm front is at least close by, and that is the reason why we've got at least the potential there for some in the way of rotation. But like Jacob was saying, it's that mid-level type to where it just doesn't. It's hard to do at the surface. Now here's our velocity once again. Again, you've got some little spots here and there that are kind of good looking on our velocity, but this is from the Lincoln radar, and changing it out of Indy kind of shows the same thing. At that point, the beam is pretty high up, and our winds are not actually, I think our winds are still out of the southwest, so that's usually not exactly the best in the way of getting rotation to show up. Let me get that shown up here, because normally you want it out of the south and southeast direction to get some of that rotation based on that situation, and so that's out of the southwest still. So again, we're still kind of watching it, but the warm front, you can tell, is kind of just off to our north of our viewing area right now, and so that'll be kind of a spot that we'll watch for in a little bit. We got 5 minutes or so left with our warning. Go back to our radar, and you're going to see that again, we just have just a few more minutes here. We have also that cell that is in the Cissna Park area in Iroquois County. That's got some lightning strikes with it now too. But we're still just kind of waiting for This is the next little update here from the National Weather Service to provide us with an update on this storm that is in Vermilion County. Again, it's got radar indicated 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch in diameter hail. It's not just a regular severe thunderstorm warning. It's got the tornado possible tag with it. And as you look at the radar, you've got kind of this collection of lightning strikes. Turning that off, you've got essentially two individual cells that are producing a lot of the heavier rain. That's right by the Bismarck area and then also right by the Hoopeston area. Hail is not exactly huge out of these ones, but definitely some heavy rain, some gusty winds out of these. Thing is, though, we kind of do need the rain. It's been very dry, and the rain would obviously be beneficial because of how dry and how hot it has been recently. So Danville and Vermilion County especially consider themselves a little bit lucky to get some of the rain showers here. Wish they could spread some of that wealth around. All right. Just looking at some of the other comments here. Barbara says slowing down a little bit in the Rossville area. Ashley says it's coming down in Cissna Park along with thunder. Katina said that it just blew up in the Hoopeston area out of nowhere. Yeah, these storms, because of how hot and how humid it is outside, these things just explode. And looks like Thomas got you a picture, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm checking my messenger now.
Gotcha. What did he have to say?
I will pull that up on the full screen here in just a second.
Gotcha.
Actually, do you have an Apple TV over there, Jack? On your program on Max 2?
No, because Apple TV is only going into Max 1.
Should be on. Try pulling it up real quick in Max 2. I switched it last night, so it's not going to Max 1. It's going to Max 2. So if you have that. Is that what it is?
Well, and it's got. I'm just in the finding the streaming video.
I can also stick it in.
So it should be coming up here. I should have the proper thing now.
Oh, you know, I got to turn it on. I'm connected. I'm not on. Where's that?
Right behind the clicker there. Yep. Behind the scenes work. We have 3 minutes left of that warning. It's black. We know the screen is black right now.
Yeah, let me just get it up here on the switcher real fast.
Okay. I'm going to go back to...
Radar full, then, yeah,
Yep.
here it is.
So again, got just a few more minutes, 2 more minutes left of this warning. And most of it is now into Indiana, but we still do have some in the way of that rotate. And now at this point, it doesn't look very good now, which is good. A lot of times what will happen with these storms is that when they fire up, they go up and they go up very fast. They go up very fast. And so when that happens, we do anticipate them kind of burning out also pretty fast too. So that is some good news there.
It's taking its time.
Oh, I know. Sometimes that thing just takes a while to boot up. All right, that's black there, so, all right. Oh, the old pull it out and plug it back in.
You said it, yeah. It's a good picture. It works.
Do you have to, I'm pretty sure, don't you have to do it into the Max 1?
You can switch it on the inputs. So I've got it.
This is just
There we go.
background. Okay, here we go.
There it is. Let me
I've got your screen up right now.
yeah, I need to turn my. There we go. That looks better. So you
There
can
it
see
is.
There on the stream. I've got it on the stream for you to look at. That's from Hoopeston.
Nice. Just a good heavy downpour.
Yeah, nice.
Little lowering too. With the Ford F-150. With the blue. I like that.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about the truck and we got storms.
Yep. You gotta have a good truck when you go storm chasing. So.
I've got another video coming in here in a second. So
Gotcha.
a minute and then we can wrap up with that warning expired.
Yep, that warning has expired, and got
The video looks good.
a lot of lightning with it too still. But yeah, it's now just it's kind of lost its it's not a really individual cell anymore. It's kind of a blob of storms at this point now, which is usually what happens. They start off individually as a cell, and then that's usually when they've got the potential there for some rotation, and then at that point, then it kind of goes away. All right, so I got your screen up right now.
Yeah. Play that. There you go. It's looking through the screen there in the window. It's
Okay.
hard to see. But you can hear on the phone. You can hear the thunder.
Gotcha.
It's loud what that is.
Gotcha.
So.
Yep, so you'll have now temporary relief from the heat, and then after that, you're going to have 1,000-degree humidity after these storms roll on through.
You're right about that.
So that's kind of how things are going right now. We're back on full screen camera now. So again, we just have some cells on the far eastern edge of our viewing area in Vermilion County and the southeastern portion of Iroquois County. And currently that warning is now expired, so it is now 1:16. It's gone. Everything looks kind of to be more what we call blobular, where it's not exactly as good looking as what it did before. So that's some good news there in terms of any warnings. They do need some rain, so that's some good beneficial rain that they're getting there. But as we zoom way out, don't have much in the way of any other cells out there currently. They're definitely going to be favoring this side of the viewing area for the next few hours. It'll be later on this afternoon into this evening to where we have to kind of watch out for things coming down from the northwest. Do you have anything, Jacob?
Yeah. Spotter reports of pea-sized hail between Hoopeston and Rossville, and then NWS Chicago says they're not quite at severe weather with southern Iroquois County. The storm is rotating aloft as it's heading into Benton County, Indiana. But they say it's definitely raining buckets under that. And with those precipitable water values, I mean...
It's out of control. Yeah, I mean, we're talking so much rain that's going to come out of these because of how humid it is. So that's all that makes sense. Again, that's that cell there. And so as I turn on our velocity, I'm going to change our velocity to out of Chicago. Yeah, so there's a little bit of some rotation aloft, but it's not there yet. Not there yet. So,
We'll watch.
Yep, we'll watch it.
County, Indiana, not a problem anymore.
This is true. This is true. So, all right, we're going to probably end the stream here. If we have any more in the way of severe weather, Jacob was going to take over since I've been here at work for 11 hours. So we will kind of watch how things play out here. But yeah, there's some of that rotation still also showing up kind of by the Hoopeston area going towards Hickory Grove over in Indiana. But that's going to be moving off slowly to the northeast here. And so we're going to sign off. And if we get any more alerts, we'll pass them along to you. Have a good rest of your day today, and really stay safe in terms of the heat out there. Stay cool, drink lots of water, and if you have to work outside, take breaks often. Have a good one.